Here is another opinion on food for thought. This is our editorial section. And today's topic is a very controversial one to many people. I happened to just finish watching a video. It was slightly under an hour long, 58 minutes, by an authority on the topic of electric vehicles. That's what it was about. Broader scope, the environment, pollution, CO2, etc. And the man's name is Mark P. Mills. He gave this lecture at Hillsdale College. At the end of this video, I will show you the YouTube address, and you can go and watch it for yourselves. I encourage you to do so. It's not going to be as entertaining for some people as silly videos on social media sites. It's not going to be as entertaining as your football or your baseball game, or pick your sport, or Survivor, or anything like that. But it will do you probably more good and other people by watching this than some of the other subject matter. So this man is talking about electric vehicles and all of the negative aspects of going electric and mandating it, as is happening more and more in the United States and other places, some of the states. Right from mining the materials, the minerals that you need, a lot of which is in China. So that's a side negative. We're feeding China if we buy electric vehicles, because we need a lot of the stuff that is mined and made there. From the manufacturing process all the way through to disposing of the batteries, etc., eventually. And they are, when you consider all of that, not as efficient as people seem to think. What's an alternative? Well, we could mandate. Nobody on the right side, the right wingers, will like any kind of mandating, by governments on any topic. But if we're going to mandate something, rather than say, yeah, got to switch to electric vehicles, how about mandating maximum size on passenger vehicle engine displacements? We do not need, you do not need, and yes, I'm saying need, forget want, 500 horsepower vehicle to go to the supermarket and back. You don't need it. There are plenty of efficient vehicles with lots of horsepower to get you around quickly, seat an entire family with 4 cylinders. Years ago, I bought I've had a couple of them, a Nissan Altima. Both of them were 4 cylinders, plenty fast enough for most of the time just me and my wife, or family. And it was only 150 horsepower. That was plenty. I then had a Nissan Maxima at 190, even more. That was a V6. But today it's ridiculous. Nobody needs those engine sizes. What is really needed here is a culture shift, and that's not very easy to bring about, especially on this side of the ocean. So yeah, maybe you say, if you need a big truck, you have to justify it. You really do need it for your business. Not try and fool regulatory bodies by saying, oh, well, I cut grass with it because you cut a couple of neighbors' grass just to meet the guidelines and then buy your big honking truck. No, Europe has done this for decades. I know most North Americans think that it's the be all and the end all, North America and America, Canada. But they don't realize there is another world out there. And in most cases, the countries and the people that live in them have been around for centuries, millennia in some cases. And believe it or not, they actually have done some things way better than we have, and a lot earlier than we have. I lived in London in the early 70s for almost 3 years. Small vehicles were the norm. Didn't need larger vehicles. Back then, they were delivering milk to people's front doors with electric vehicles, battery-powered electric vehicles. Earlier than that, post-university, I did a European tour, rented a tiny 3 chevaux Citroën, and traveled all over Europe. So I didn't drive in London, but I was in Rome, in Paris, big cities like that. Even then, vehicles were smaller. But the point is, since that time, I have a friend who's lived in Paris many, many years. They have undertaken what is necessary to make driving to and from the downtown core, from the burbs, inconvenient and expensive. They have great subway system, metro, pick your term. So did London. When I was in London, I could go to work, and I worked in several places over the almost 3 years I was there. Didn't need a car. Most I had to walk was 3 or 4 blocks to an underground, a subway, a metro. Now, of course, in North America, we didn't think in those terms. We built highways. But in Paris, yes, they've made it extremely convenient to hop onto a public vehicle, whether it's a tram or a bus, doesn't matter, inexpensive, get to the downtown core, and then turn around and reverse the process. Made it very expensive and inconvenient to drive vehicles. That's what we have to do, in my opinion, over here. Move in that direction. I haven't been in Rome for a long time, but I suspect the same thing was probably happening. You don't need 600 horsepower to get to work and back. Manufacturing companies, car companies in North America in particular, but some of the foreign ones as well that manufacture here, they're very irresponsible. They're still promoting speed, horsepower, spinning tires, doing donuts. You know, that encourages, I'm getting off topic, but it encourages people who do not know how to drive fast. They are not trained racing drivers. They encourage them to put their foot down and drive fast. And they get in a situation they don't know how to handle it. They really don't. Anyway, smaller vehicles is one way to attack this problem, and making it convenient to get from the burbs to the downtown core, and making it expensive if you insist on using your own vehicle. I happen to live quite a distance outside Toronto in Ontario. This area, Pickering is the city. There are a lot of high rises going up, especially around public transportation. We have a very good train system that runs with maybe 4 or 5 stops between here and downtown Toronto, right downtown. You get an express train, you can be there in half an hour. If I'm going downtown now, especially if I'm going to be drinking and I don't want to have to drive home, that's what I take. But they've gone further than that. Some of these high rises, they don't have parking spots. They're condos. You live there, especially the people that can't afford. They have high-tech jobs, work down in Toronto, downtown. They can't afford to live there or buy a house or a condo there. So they're coming out here, and they don't have parking spots. So they have to use public transportation. That's draconian perhaps, but it works. So I don't know what you think. Let us know. I can just hear the right wingers now saying, "You can't tell me what to do. Why shouldn't I be able to buy, my Corvette or my 500 horsepower SUV if I want it?" Because the world needs to do something about the pollution. That's why. You won't subscribe to that. But to those who think maybe it is time to do something about it, let us hear what your ideas and thoughts are. Cut down on the size of engines if you're not going to go electric. Some electric vehicles will be appropriate, and definitely make it convenient to take public transport. And I'm not talking about slow buses that you're stuck on for hours with, undesirable people sitting beside you. Got to do better than that. And make it expensive to take your own vehicle. Those are my thoughts. That's my opinion. Let us know what you think. And thanks for watching. Comment down below one of these if you like it. As a reminder, that lecture by Mark Mills, I put the URL up earlier on, and I'll put it again in the notes down below. Really recommend watching it. And by the way, just do Google searches, whatever your search engine is, on electric vehicles, the future of electric vehicles, negative, positive aspects of electric vehicles, etc. There's a ton of material out there.